Here's another concept for you, the universal laws. But what are these laws? Where did they come from? How do we use them? Why would we want to? This video explains the history and origins of these things they call the universal laws. Continue watching as we delve into concepts create reality. Hello, beautiful one. I'm Cindy, psychic medium spiritual advisor. I'm sure you've heard of the universal laws, but with history changing right before our very eyes, it was hard to pinpoint solid evidence of their history and origin. Here's what I found. In my research, I've seen up to 52 universal laws, but in this series, I'll only teach 12. So why do we call them the universal laws? Well, for one, these are laws that work in this universe. We have them here to help us understand how things work in the universe. So we know when we are working within these laws, the outcome is definite. Or is it? But I'm getting ahead of myself. So here's an example of a universal law. We know if we have an apple in our hand and let it go, the apple is going to fall to the ground. Why? Because of the law of gravity. This law helps us understand if we want to be happy and make life easy, we probably don't want to carry a big boulder and drop it on our foot. This is just one example of why we want to know these laws. Now, the 12 laws I'm going to teach are a combination of science, spirit, and metaphysics. You guessed it, because that's how I roll. Just hear me out before you decide to stop listening. I promise it will all come together and make sense. So let's look at the definition of scientific law. According to science, a law means a detailed description, usually using math, to determine something happens. Or a statement based on repeated experimental observation that describes some phenomenon of nature. So let's be clear. In science, the definition is not by man, but by nature that determines these laws. At least that's what they say. So, since we are now in the new era of more expanded thinking, I'll tell you what spirits taught me. They taught me that laws are just a guideline. They can be added to and worked outside of, which really is what science, spiritualists, and metaphysics are doing now. So in my opinion, the only ones who aren't taking advantage of this are the everyday people like you. Not anymore. That's why I'm here. As for spirit, I think they are the one constant in this equation. That should tell you something right there. Oh, but you don't have to believe me about the science. Here's a quote from physicist, biologist, and author Paul Davies. He says, "With the laws of nature, mathematically, most laws come with an undetermined constants added to the equation." So right now, there are 30-something undetermined parameters. These are numbers that go into our standard model of particle physics of cosmology, but which have no explanation within the theory. Did you get that? Did you understand? So Paul Davies is saying in over 30 equations, they add numbers to make the law of nature valid. Now, does this sound correct to your usual thinking? Almost like the equation is fixed to look valid and then becomes a law. Remember, over 30-something undetermined parameters, which they call constants. So even Newton's force of gravity has this undetermined constants in the equation. Listen, I'm not bringing this up or making you aware because I want to discredit anyone. No, I'm bringing this up to help you understand that we need to stop our usual automatic thinking and expand our consciousness to understand that yes, we have these parameters or guidelines we call laws. And yes, we appreciate science for helping us get to this point. But no, this is not the only understanding. There is more. Not just these laws. There is more information we have here on Earth to help us attain a beautiful, happy, peaceful life. That's all I'm saying. That's what this channel is about. To take what we have and expand to new concepts. One last thing. I think it's important to note, by science, their definition of law does not tell how or why something happens. It just tells us that it does happen. Theories tell us why and how. which in my opinion makes the science law no more valid or less valid than the metaphysical laws, hence why I teach both. Now, let's talk about the history of these laws briefly, because with just the history of science, spiritual, and metaphysics and the laws, I could do a whole seminar. What I found in the history of the universal laws from the metaphysics side is these laws came from the 7 Hermetic principles. Hermes Trismegistus, also known as the Thrice Great One, probably came from a mythological character in ancient Egypt occult lore. I say probably because historians don't even know. He was in the Corpus Hermeticum and the Kybalion. It's where alchemy was founded. So from these arose the 7 Hermetic principles. The universal laws in science are called the laws of nature. They came from scientists like Newton and Einstein. Over time, we've combined both science and metaphysics. This is what we now call the universal laws. But I bet most people didn't even know that fact. So why would we not only want to know but master these universal laws? Well, they say mastering these laws means you would master this life and the physical. I like to think differently. I say mastering these laws can serve as a guide to how to make the life you've dreamed. I'd also like to take it a step further and say, once you've mastered or understood these laws, then you can begin to explore your more evolved consciousness of working inside and outside of these laws. So, understand these laws well, but don't make them your Bible. That's what we've been doing for centuries. That time is over. Now we're more evolved and expanded. We can use them as a guidance, a base to start. So this is going to be a video series because I'd like to not only tell you each law, but also help you understand and apply it to your everyday life. So if you've heard of any of these laws or worked consciously with these laws, let me know your experience in the comments below. To easily attain the life you've dreamed, which we all understand is our purpose, then you will have to learn how to work inside and outside of these laws. That's when things get exciting. So, here's the 12 laws of the universe. Watch the next video as I explain each law, then give you some tools to help apply them in your everyday life as we delve into concepts create reality.